Hey everybody, welcome to the show today. LOVE+RELO, the voice of relocation. We are here with you live, and we've got Robert Brizuela here from Chewy. Robert, how are you doing today?
Great, Ben. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to be back on. We got a full slate this week, and I've just missed, chatting with everybody, and so good to see you here and see all these friendly faces checking in here in the chat as well. Hey, get in the chat right now. If you're watching right now, thank you so much. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what in the world you're up to. I see some football chatter going on here. And when I say football too, I mean American football. We might get into that, Robert, a little bit as well here. Robert, where in the world are you right now?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. Wow. Now, speaking of Nashville, the Titans just got eliminated, didn't they?
They did. They did. However, my team, the Niners, are doing really well.
Oh, you're a Niners fan. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are on a run. This could be your year.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, right? Let's see here. We got people checking in here. We got people in San Diego checking in. That's awesome. Ray Abbott from Tippett Richardson up in Vancouver. What's up, Vancouver in the house? Raleigh in the house. This is fantastic. Jamie Massa, cheers from sunny Mississippi. His Steelers are no mas. Aaron, Kansas City, home of the Chiefs. Because everybody's got the playoff bug here. This is great. Brian Smith from Chi-Town. What's up, Brian? It's good to see you. Brett Bemis. Hello from B-Town. Is that Boston? What's B-Town? Let's see here. Ray Abbott cheering on the Rams since the Seahawks are out. Kyle's in Nashville.
Okay.
There you go. Terry Culver. Hello, Robert and Ben from Nashville.
Hey, Terry.
Nashville's representing here.
Yes.
Nashville's hot right now. Maybe not, temperature-wise, but Nashville seems to be kind of the center of a lot of things right now. What's going on from a Nashville-centric standpoint there, Robert?
Oh, it's just a great place to live, to visit. The culture is wonderful. There's music everywhere. The food's really good. And, if you're from the West Coast or the Northeast, buying a house there is very, very positive. However, our prices have gone straight up. So that stopped coming for a while.
You know what? That's funny because I feel like Dallas was the same way. Dallas for a long time had very affordable housing. And it seems like housing prices have gone up almost 50% in the last few years.
Yeah, we've actually seen 100% if you go back 5 years. It's been really, really, great for those that own houses, but a little harder for those first-time home buyers.
Do you see it staying like that, Robert? And is this like an issue that you kind of wrestle with too, from a relocation standpoint?
Yeah, I see it staying there and maybe going up a little more. It's just, the demand to come to Tennessee is amazing. Not having a state tax, very favorable to businesses. Again, affordable for many folks. So I just think it is really desirable. So it will maintain. Right now, there aren't enough houses to buy, and there aren't enough rentals either. So it's a tough rental market too.
How is what we're seeing from, and I just want to stay here just for a second because I think it's just super topical right now. And we know that real estate and housing impacts, relocation from a policy standpoint, a benefit standpoint. Are you seeing that right now? I mean, are you having to adapt any kind of policies or tactics in order to make relocation smooth and easy for people from a housing standpoint?
I think so. I think we're so for clients, or for the corporations, we're asking to give a lot more lead time to allow those, transferees or new hires to really learn the market, get out there, spend some time, so that they don't make rush decisions. It is tough. There are some great schools here, great school districts, but again, a lot of competition, and a lot of times you're seeing folks buying homes without even seeing them, which is, it's a little risky, right?
Well, it's something I would have never thought 5 years ago that people would buy a house, the largest purchase you're ever going to make, sight unseen.
Right.
Crazy to me, especially with all the things that could go wrong with a house. Watching right now, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you've got questions for Robert, We will prioritize those throughout. We've got people checking in here. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Nathan checking in from Scottsdale.
Hey, Nathan.
What up in Atlanta? I don't even know who it is, but what up, Atlanta? John checking in from Rio. Yes, awesome to have Robert here with us. Stacy checking in. What's up, super producer Stacy in the house?
Thank
Melanie
you.
from sunny and chilly Florida. Christina. This is great. What's up, Christina? It's good to see you. Emily. I'd love to hear your questions as well. Get them in there. Stephanie Xline. Hello from Detroit. Detroit in the house. What's up, Stephanie? It's been too long. Mike Falia checking in. Anthony Gonzalez.
Right.
Niners fans in the house.
Hey.
That's great. Who's the quarterback next year? Is it Jimmy G or is it going to be Trey Lance? I want to know. Very curious. Katie Garcia. That's great. Jamie. Oh, Jamie just got a Chewy delivery today. Our 3 cats appreciate your service.
Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming.
Chewy is a popular brand, and you just started your role fairly recently. How's it been going for you?
Really well. Yeah, I'm on my 90th day, and it's really been exciting, fun. It's a great company, great culture, great customer service. And it's funny because they've been around for 10 years. It's almost like a brand new company since the IPO a few years ago. And they're building, they're growing. Everyone's coming our way. We're adding new products. It seems like every day, but it's just been really exciting to watch.
What's it like working for a high growth company?
Again, it's exciting. Every day it's light speed. We're trying to build infrastructure and, facilitate, a lot of relocations. We're moving people. I can't believe the volume is so high. And it's fun. We have a chance to recreate every day, to build things that help just bring that same level of customer service to our, we call them team members, when they're actually relocating. So it's really fun. We get to recreate the wheel every day and just make things better.
What are some of the challenges or opportunities with respect to relocation for a kind of high growth company like Chewy compared to maybe a more mature, older company out there? What are you seeing?
Well, because we're hiring so much, we're competing with everybody. We compete with, and if you think about it, Amazon, with the tech sector, with manufacturing, with procurement. So that's a big factor. And, we're newer to the marketplace, like you mentioned. So, we have a lot of, younger folks in their careers and a lot of experience as well. And you put that together and it's a really diverse group, which is great, but it's also challenging.
So I want to talk a little bit about flexible relocation programs. That's a topic that I know you're passionate about. Tell us a little bit about what you mean when you say flexible relocation programs. What are some of the hallmarks of those programs?
Great question. So I've been doing flexible relocation for a long time. I would say way back to the late 90s. It's great to have structured, tiered, very stable policies and programs. However, it doesn't always work. And I've been through many, many business trends where we went from, conservative times to, high growth times to when tech took off and everything went online. You're hiring different people, and or your intra-company dynamics change. I worked at a company one time where we used to wear ties to work every day. All of a sudden, we're wearing jeans and t-shirts. What happened?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to think how the workforce has changed. I mean, what was that time frame like from when it went to from ties to jeans? What was that? How long did that take? Because I remember when I was in my 20s, I would wear a tie to work, and people would kind of scoff at me like, "What are you doing wearing a tie?" Nobody's wearing a tie, especially because I worked in a call center. It was kind of weird, but I was like, "I'm trying to get your job. That's what I'm doing wearing a tie." But I mean, how long did that take for that evolution to change?
It's probably a 3 to 4 year period. In fact, I graduated from college, went to my first job at a biotech company, had a great fancy tie on, walked in the door. They told me to go home. I was like, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Look around you. Everyone here is in, casual sweats, shorts. Some are wearing flip-flops." I'm like, wow, I get it now.
At a biotech company, though, I would think they would be. I mean, not super conservative, but you know, a little more buttoned up.
Yeah, well, in the Bay Area in California in the late
Oh.
80s, things were really hopping and trendy. And but then I went to a financial services company. That's where I was wearing a tie and it was acceptable. And then when we started doing online trading, we were hiring programmers and IT folks. And all of a sudden that changed who we were hiring and how we behaved internally. So there went the ties, we went to jeans and, way more casual. Some remote work was happening and times were changing pretty quickly. And that was all through the .com bust of 2000.
And now we struggle to wear pants some days, it looks like. So this is interesting. People are saying love the casual dress, although I do have some nice ties, right, Chris? When you break out the ties nowadays, it's like, what do I do with all these nice ties I have? I don't know. It's great. Let's see. Karen saying, I think the more comfortable you are, the more relaxed and productive you are in your workplace. Mike Quigley, I wore a tie and a suit to a tech company for a meeting, and they sent me home and said, you look like the SEC, and are freaking everyone out. You look like the government. Get out of here. I remember I went to a BAM conference meeting also in a suit. And one of my friends, I'm not going to name names, he told me, like, dude, you need to chill out. He was wearing flip-flops and jeans. I'm like, dude, you're wearing flip-flops. I see your toes. But, hey, that's the way it is. Stephanie Akers was all dressed up in the call center, nowhere to go. Dress for the position you want. Yes, Stephanie. See, Stephanie and I are kindred spirits. This is great. Amanda, I remember going to a prospect presentation with a gaming company. We were all suited up. When the HR team came in, they quickly escorted us to our meeting room and left. They came back to us and they needed to assure the staff that they were not getting fired. Yes, it's like all the consultants come in to just fire half the company. Oh, this is great. This is funny. For special Zooms, you throw them on. There you go. People are saying, yeah, dress the part. Janet's got a question. Keep these questions coming here. Janet wants to know, what is on Robert's t-shirt?
All you need is love, coffee, and Tennessee.
Love, coffee, and Tennessee. Beautiful. This is great. We got a ton of people checking in here. Super awesome. I want to ask you another, because we talked a little bit before the show and about some topics here. I want your thoughts on in-house relocation versus outsourced relocation. I'm always curious that from people that have kind of seen both sides of it, I'm always curious what they think the pros and the cons are from the structures.
No, great question. So my first 8 to 9 years of my career, I was managing in-house programs. And when you have an in-house program, you control your staff, pretty much everything, your service delivery, your timing on reporting, expense processing. You handpick all your partners. And it's a really strong, controlled, yet fluid model, and it works really well. Outsourcing didn't become popular until about my 10th year of my career. I'm dating myself here. And that felt really strange, handing over such a very personal and important service and policy and delivery and all that. It just didn't feel right. But, through the years, outsourcing and utilizing RMCs and other providers, it was important. It was key to success. I couldn't always keep a staff of 3, 4, or 5, and obviously there was a lot of layoffs with RMC outsourcing back then as well. But then I went to different companies. One of my companies had a mobility team of 35 professionals around the world, and yet we were fully outsourced. And so I realized that outsourcing is important, but then keeping a very core team of professionals internal is also important. And of course, it has to scale to your company size and your move volume. If you ask me what's better, that's a great conversation, maybe for later.
Well, okay, I want to ask you though, if you say you have a staff of 35, but it's an outsourced program, I think people out there might ask, well, what did all those folks do in an outsourced, environment? So what did they do?
Yeah, so it was broken up very strategically. There were teams, in EMEA, in APAC, in the US, and also broken down via like international assignments, domestic relocation, payroll, immigration. So every team had their, every leader had their teams within this big organization. And everyone was working 40, 60 hours a week. very, very busy. And I think it comes down to, Ben, what is the culture of the company? How well do you provide that duty of care, that service, the assessment piece and the, confirmation of everything throughout the entire move, and can it be handled by just one party? And we learned, we decided that no, you couldn't do that. And so creating this larger team, working very closely with the RMC, the tax firm, the immigration partners, van lines, all that, it merged so well together. And the satisfaction levels were really, really high. And we measured that internally, not externally.
Okay. Really interesting. If you're watching right now out there, I want to see your questions in here in the comments. I will ask your questions. Here's one. Speaking of culture, Sherelle, my fellow Texan, Sherelle has a question. Robert, what has been the most surprising cultural component in your first few months at Chewy?
Well, I don't think there are any surprises, but I think their focus on team members is amazing. I mean, we're working a lot of hours and late nights and early days and the weekends sometimes, but they care so much for you. And not just, sending you a gift or whatever. They just send you a very nice welcome package. But throughout the year, you get a lot of, kudos and conversations. And while we're not in the office all together, some are, we have a lot of really engaging meetings via Zoom or whatever it is. And you feel like, and I've only been here 3 months, but I feel like I'm already part of the team, part of the company, part of the culture. And it's just really nice. And our goal now is to take that same level of service we give all of our customers and bring it back internally and deliver it through relocation or recruitment or benefits the same way. And that's really exciting to me.
All right. You brought up a good point talking about, how do you deliver those kind of, customer delight, is a big phrase. I was on the phone with a big corporate program earlier today, and they kept talking about delight, and creating those delightful moments, I guess you would say. What are those opportunities in your mind to really increase the delight that we create through relocation?
Right. I think it starts when the either internal or external applicant is in that final phase of the hiring process. That's where I think relocation needs to get involved and have a conversation, help them understand what it means to receive a relocation package, what it means to leave their origin city, what it means to move to that destination city, what it means to the trailing spouse or partner or children, or maybe their mother or father or mother-in-law who lives with them. Really talk about that. Talk about the affordability of moving. Can you really sell that house in Wichita and move to Seattle? But what does it take to do that? So I think it involves just that service upfront of assessing and explaining and helping them make a very informed decision. When they do, they then understand what they're about to take on, and their whole family does as well. And then it's not just, we hired them, we moved them. It's really like a combined onboarding experience that makes them feel like they're really cared for all the way through.
I love it. In fact, Tessa Boone over here saying Chewy knows customer delight for sure. It sounds like Tessa's been ordering some Chewy, some Chewy.com stuff here. Rob Zeitz, Chewy does a good job on social media, spreading the message that they care about employees and their pets. Yeah, what is the opportunity there for relocation to impact the employment brand of companies?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we compete heavily for talent, and we're hiring a lot of people this year. And so we have to make sure that we treat them well all the way through, that their interview experience is very positive, their relocation experience is very positive. And we're set up right now to do that. We have a great partner in our RMC. We have great secondary suppliers through them as well. But what we have to do is rethink everything, from the start through the middle, all the way through. I think you mentioned earlier about moving pets. We do move pets all the time.
Really? So pet relocation is part of the program?
It really is. And we feel that pet or all those pets that a new team member has is just as important as family, and making sure that they're safe, taken care of, and they arrive, without being disturbed or having that stress of moving. And if you all have pets, you understand what that means, especially during times of disruption.
Yeah, this is a lot. Got a lot of people thinking about pets and asking questions here. Stephanie says, considering the business Chewy's in, is there a more robust offering when it comes to support of pets and relocation? Is this something that you really try to get right because of who Chewy is?
We do. And again, I mentioned earlier, we're never finished. We think we can always help expand or enhance what we do, even for pets. And so I think stay tuned. We're going to keep on looking at that, working on it to make sure it goes so well that there's no issue. And if you think about it, like we just had a team member move to Florida with 5 dogs and a litter on the way.
Wow.
Find a temporary apartment that takes 5 dogs and a bunch of puppies.
Okay, I'm going to turn the question around on you and ask you the same thing. What do you do from a temp living standpoint for those? I mean, I think in a way you have a very unique employee population, right? Because you probably have, I'm guessing, almost everyone that works at Chewy has pets, and probably more than one, more than most, right? So now, like, you have these other considerations, not only on the movement of household goods and the movement of the pet family members, but to your point about corporate housing, a lot of corporate housing isn't pet friendly, right? Or hasn't traditionally been pet friendly. Pets are more exceptions, or an amenity that you kind of like have to really search out. And then there's usually breed restrictions, or there's other restrictions, right?
Size, weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are you doing with, help us out?
Yeah, so when my kids growing up, we had pets as well. We had cats and rabbits, and we relocated many times and had to take them with us. Well, we went to temporary living often and faced those same types of restrictions or lack of availability. And we had to think about it. Wow, how do we do this? And we were very hands-on with it, but we had to do things like buy new cages or crates, ship them to the temporary living apartment, have them receive them, set them up, and be ready when we arrive to put them right in their new homes. But right now, you're right. We have a lot of team members with pets, and I think a lot of temp living providers are coming around and being more resourceful with that, but not all of them. And it's not always their fault. The property may have their own set of restrictions and rules. So it does take getting creative. We've been getting creative, and we're going to keep doing so. A lot of it, though, is on education, preparation. How do you fly with a pet? How do you maybe drive a pet? In fact, today, a lot of airlines won't even allow dogs to go on the plane. So it's been a little bit interesting.
Do you find that more of your employees drive to destination because of the difficulty in flying with pets?
A lot will, especially when let's say the pet is older or larger or sensitive, maybe on medication. There's a lot of issues that could play into that pet making the trip well and successful. So, but we offer that assistance. We help them in pretty much whatever type of travel or transportation they need for their pets.
We touched on a topic that seems to be a really popular one. People have all these comments and questions about pets. If you got comments or questions about pets or anything else, Robert, we'll try to get to all of them. So keep throwing them in there. People are really active in the comments. Hit that like button right there. Smash that like button for us, and let everybody know we're on right now. Janet Turner says, is the cap on the pet move or the type of pet authorized to move? Interesting. What types of caps are you seeing, whether it be imposed from a policy standpoint or from a provider standpoint, or what are some of the parameters there?
Yeah, so we're pretty open. We don't talk about caps. We don't talk about types of pets because you can have any kind of pet these days. And I've seen some interesting ones. When it comes to maybe a horse, that could be... I
was going to ask about horses. Do you see horses? Because we hear about horses sometimes. In fact, I know some of my household goods partners have actually hauled some horse trailers in the past.
Yeah, we haven't had one yet. There was a conversation about a horse. That would be definitely, probably an exception. But I want to bring you to a story I heard way back in the day when Disney was moving a lot of employees around the world. And they had a trainer who received a retired elephant as his pet.
What?
And then he relocated.
And what did they do? Did they ship the elephant?
They did. I don't know if they paid for the whole thing, but the elephant was this trainer's pet, and he was part of the family, and he was a valued employee. So what do you do? Tell him no?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, well, especially if the Walt Disney Company gave the elephant to the employee, and then now they're relocating them. I mean, yeah, it sounds like they relocated 2 employees there. That's awesome. The elephant, I love elephants. Okay, Kyle here. A large percentage of our relocation guests say that they choose us because we have no pet restrictions. We just checked in a guest with an emotional support boa constrictor.
There you go.
Wow. People are loving this. They're loving the elephant. Was his name Dumbo? Do we have any more details? This is great. This is fantastic. People are digging this topic here. Oh my goodness here. Rob's got a question. Rob said, I wonder if pet care could be considered in cultural training, like how are different pets and breeds viewed in different locations? What can pet owners expect reactions to be to their fur family, etc.? You know, especially on the international side, do you do international relocation, Robert?
We don't yet. Now, I envision us doing that relatively soon just because of our business model. But we have hired folks from other countries to the U.S., and that's where you could face some of these same issues.
I got to ask you, as a relocator, I love to talk to people in the relocation business, and I love to ask them one question. Do you personally like moving?
I love moving.
Why? Because it's so interesting, because we always hear the stat, right? You know, it's one of the top 3 most stressful events: death, divorce, moving. Sometimes it causes one of the others. What do you love about moving?
Oh, wow. Over the years, we've had probably hundreds of friends, family, work coworkers, church members move. We always got volunteered, and you jump in. There's a group of 8 or 10, pizza and beer. It's always just been fun. And we ourselves have moved. We moved from San Francisco to Phoenix to Seattle to Nashville and soon to South Florida. And our kids, I think because of what we do or what I do, they've always embraced it. They understand it. They enjoy it. In fact, it's funny. Years ago, I would get a lot of promotional materials from different companies, and we had this video to test out called Let's Get a Move On. And it's this very short, probably 20-minute video of children singing and talking about their move and drawing pictures, writing letters to their friends, labeling boxes, finding their favorite teddy bear or whatever. And my kids would watch it like it was just a normal video. And they would sing the song, and I thought that's kind of weird, But then when we move, they know what to do.
That's great. That's great. It's funny you talk about your kids because, I feel like all of our families become like, immersed in this relocation industry that we're in, right? And it becomes normalized in our households that moving is just kind of a normal, accepted part of life. Lynn, Robert, do you see you and your staff going into the Florida office when the pandemic is in the rear view mirror?
Yes, I do. In fact, I can't wait to get there. I've been remote for a long time, and I really do enjoy that interaction, that dynamic of having, people in the office. We actually just had a meeting in the office a few weeks back. It was wonderful. Everyone came in, we met each other, did a lot of group activities, planned for the year. It was really productive. So yeah, I look forward to it. I think, again, being a younger company, having a great culture and policies, and I think that'd be really fun. And Florida is a great place to be anyway, right?
Yeah. And now, whereabouts in Florida are you? Is your office?
It's in South Florida.
Nice. People are saying, "Come to Florida. It's beautiful and warm." Yeah, it is warm.
Snow in Nashville is getting old.
Yeah, really. Let's see here. I've got a question for you. As someone who's kind of worked on kind of both sides and seen it from different angles, there's always, when I talk to our corporate friends, they're saying, we want world-class experience. We want excellence and delight. We hear these words, right? And we're like, okay, cool. We can delight, right? The service providers, we can delight. But then on the flip side of that, we also hear, well, here's the RFP, and it's a best value computation, and there's this tug of war between value and price. And this is, I think, a rub and a struggle. And I guess I'm curious to know, how do you weigh that? How do you balance value and price? And what are your thoughts on the trade-off there?
Yeah, no, I learned years ago that it's very important to pay a fair price. You're right, Ben. We ask for the ultimate level of service in every capacity, whether it's shipping a car, moving your goods, selling a house, whatever it is. We want that best level of service. And so we need, as a corporation, to be willing to pay for that. However, we want that service consistent. And we also want you to partner with us to save money over the years. So let's find ways of containing costs. Let's find ways of doing things different where we can save some money, but still deliver that high level of consultation, of service delivery. And it's possible. Right now, and you know this too, there are so many industry disruptors, new players, new technology that's helping to do that, to shape that. And I think a lot of us, and I'm saying me too, we think in our old ways. We have to stop doing that and, take the service or the policy, take it apart, and put it back together in a more unique way to have that high level and to still work on cost containment.
What advice would you give to suppliers? Because there's a lot of suppliers out there watching this. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to suppliers when it comes to being better partners and having those conversations?
Yeah, I think it starts with really learning about the corporate client, about their business, about their worldwide presence, about their culture, and then learning a lot about the actual players in that company. Who's on the mobility team? Who leads HR? All about the C-suite folks as well. What books have they written? What have they done? Like, what's the real focus of the company? And then come at it and try to align with that as best you can. If it's a retail company, they want high level of service, but they're probably a little tighter on the budget. They're a tech company. They want some, awesome technology and maybe less touch points for their employees. Really learn that well and then deliver it. And then also step back and think outside of the box. I mean, there's so many competitors out there. They deliver the same service. What makes one different than the other? And that's what we all want to see on the corporate side.
Yeah, we're getting some great comments here. Keep these comments coming. Hit that like button. If you have questions for Robert, put them in the comments. I will ask them. Christina says, yes, breaking the services apart to see transparency is so helpful and lets you have better conversations with your suppliers. Interesting. People are agreeing with you. Very cool. I want to flip it and say, what advice do you have for your corporate colleagues who are out there when it comes to sourcing maybe their suppliers and getting the best service and maybe even value?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I want to give some kudos to a lot of folks in my early days of mobility who taught me so much. I was in the Bay Area at the time, and there were some great companies. I could probably list them. I won't list them. There's just so many in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, even up to the Pacific Northwest. Great companies, great leaders in mobility, and they taught me, I would say, almost everything. 95% of what I do today, I've learned from them. And we shared a lot. If you worked for a corporation, you said, hey, use ABC Moving, and here's why. I would trust you, believe you, and probably cut to the chase and get to know them really well because you did a lot of the research already. That's helpful to me. So I think it's really important to just be knowledgeable, tap into the resources that we all have together. And today there are so many regional groups. There are so many corporate groups. There's so many, think tanks and gatherings that either our RMCs put on or van lines put on, ERC obviously, and there's a lot of ways to learn all of that. But it's important that we as the corporate mobility leaders understand the industry really well, and we do our research. I always believe that it's not, well, we shouldn't wait until the actual RFP to learn something. It should happen the years before that.
Well, that was going to be my next question too, about, the RFP process, because, I know a lot of folks, rely on the RFP process, and there's kind of a a lot of different opinions about the best way to maybe execute an RFP. And I guess I was going to ask you, what is your advice to someone contemplating an RFP? What's the best way to kind of go about it? Do you have any lessons learned?
Yeah, I've learned so many lessons of in that area. But one thing that I did learn is it's important that I understand, again, who's out there, what their strengths are, technology, service, and all that before I go into an RFP. But also, I favor what I call a targeted RFP, because every company out there isn't a good match for wherever I'm working. And so it's important that I only invite those that are a good match. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, but it should never be, let's talk to all 15 or 20 or how many there are out there. And then what I also like to do is, once I have that list down, invite them in and let them sit and listen to my team present to them. Here's
That's
who we
interesting.
are. Yeah. Here's who we are. Here's our company, our culture. Here's our expectations. Here's our volume and our growth over the next 3 to 5 years. And here's what we want from a great player like you. And that gives them a chance to really understand what they're bidding for. Now, I've done this a few different times. One time, I had a participant walk out and say, sorry, we can't do that. And I was so pleased with their honesty and with their understanding of the process, because had they won, it would not have been a good match.
Yeah, it's funny. The more honest you are, the better fit you find. That's great. People are just commenting. They love the approach. Couldn't agree more. Meredith's commenting on the peer-to-peer communication and the sharing of information. Every vertical has nuggets of knowledge to share in market intelligence. It does seem like there's more information than ever, doesn't it?
It does. And Meredith, you're right. I've been in this for 27 plus years, and I've probably never turned down an invite for a coffee, a walk, lunch, dinner, whatever it may be, because I learn from everybody that I meet. Maybe I don't need to, hire a motorcycle shipping company, but I'll meet with them because they may teach me something. They may know somebody. They may have a benchmark study or some information that can help my program, and vice versa. Maybe I know a company that needs their service, so I'll hand them that name possibly, because we're all in this together. We all think we're competitors and we're all trying to win that big account, but truthfully, one company can't handle every company in the world. And so it's really important to learn who we are, who they are, and the best way to grow and to learn together.
You kind of alluded to this before, and I agree. I love your approach, and I applaud people that stay open, especially after having years of experience, because it's very easy to shut that off and to kind of say, well, I know everything there is to know. I've forgotten more stuff than than you'll know. Kind of, to have that thought process, right? It's easy to have that process, that thought process. But staying open, I think, is huge. And there's a few people that do it. And shout out to Jack Jampel, who's a guy that watches the show all the time, and he does it. And Vinny, and there's a lot of people that are really smart out there, but they keep that open mindset. And I applaud you and people like you that do that. And you mentioned before, you kind of alluded to some mentorship and some folks that really shared a lot of things with you. With all the information that we have today and all of the places you can find it and all we have shows in relocation now, right? And we have all these conferences and we have all this, these white papers and everything, these peer-to-peer groups. How has the role of mentorship changed at all, or what are your thoughts on mentorship and that one-on-one thing?
Has it changed? I'm not really sure if it's changed. I think it's still out there. I mean, there's people that I've met 20 plus years ago who were mentors, associates, friends who I still talk to. And there's some in the industry that are not very popular because they speak what they feel is the best method or truth about something or, way of working within our industry, and it's hard because there are trends and we've all seen those trends that we all want to jump on, but sometimes there's just the basics of what we should return to or work on to help our core industry.
Yeah, I agree. I think mentorship hasn't really necessarily changed. I think it's just as important as ever. I'm looking at these comments. There's some great comments coming in about achieving fit from a client partner standpoint. Rob says never done learning. Shout out to Joey Dudek there. You can learn something from every conversation you have. We're lucky to be in this industry to learn from so many amazing people. Betsy Ortolano giving you a shout out. You're going to be on a panel on CRC February 8th. Super cool. Let's see here. You know what? Actually, we have a question about regionals here. I'm going to put you on the spot, Robert.
Uh-oh.
Not too bad. Not too bad. We'll put you on the spot a little bit here. Sherelle says, speaking of groups, which regional relocation groups do you find the greatest engagement with peers in the industry?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I really enjoy going to BAM. I really enjoy going to the PSRC, Puget Sound Relocation Council. I really love the SRRC recently, the WIERC/CRC combined. I think I met you there a few years ago.
That's Lake Geneva. That one
yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great event. Great event.
CRC is wonderful. I went to Mark recently. That was a great conference.
Mark in Atlanta?
Atlanta, yes.
Metro Atlanta Relocation Council?
I'm trying to. Oh, I love ARA as well. ARA always has a very deep agenda for the day or for the couple days. In fact, they give, I think, the most CRP credits out of all of them.
Now, ARA, is that Arizona?
Arizona, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been to the Arizona one.
Ooh, you need to, man.
You named a few. I've never been to. Okay, so I've never been to Puget Sound. So I know, right? I've never been to Arizona. I don't think I've ever been to the Mark one either. So I got some work to do, Robert.
Yeah.
In fact, shout out to Minneapolis. I'm going to be up in the Minneapolis one in about a month. We're ice fishing up in Minneapolis. Wow. Yeah, I heard about that. I was like, I got to get on that here. Let's see. We're getting some invites here. Janet says, come to Philly to park. That's great. People are loving shouting out SRC. Shout out your regional in there. And if you want to even put a link to it, or if you have an event coming up, put it in the comments there. We're going to give everybody some love here. NJRC, Emily Johnson. Look at this. You're getting a little hate here. Let's not forget TRC. You're getting a little hate from Tennessee.
My absolute favorite is TRC.
Goes without saying, doesn't it?
It's right down the street. I always forget.
That's great. No, it's all love. You're invited to VARC, Virginia area relocation camp. There are so many. This is great.
Well,
people are saying,
come to TRC, bring your boots, and we'll hang out on Broadway.
Oh, I've never been to TRC either.
Oh no!
I know. I thought I did a lot. I consider myself to be a relatively well-networked and accomplished individual in this business, and I'm just never been to NICORP. Shout out Paul Soley and the NICORP folks there. Yeah, NICORP all the way. People are showing a lot of love here. At least the Soleys love it. Let's see. We got GRRC. Is that Greater Richmond? Oh, it was VARC. It was GRRC. Oh gosh, don't start rebranding now, because then we'll really be lost. NTRP. I'm on the board of NTRP. Shout out to our Dallas folks here. This is great. Please do a broadcast from the ice. I think I will. I think I'm gonna do a live broadcast from ice fishing. I might be warmed up a little bit out there, if you know what I mean. Let's see here. You have to come to TRC. Thank you. I want to. I really, really want to. When's the next TRC? Can we put it in the comments? Does anybody know when the next TRC is? I'm not putting you on the spot, Robert. I'm not asking you. Anybody else know?
April 6th, I think. Or
April 6th?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'll just check my calendar.
Jennifer Rodriguez says, can't wait to get on my calendar. Yep, start traveling again. For sure. We got a ton of people watching right now on LinkedIn. Shout out to everybody who's out there watching. Do me a favor. If you're watching this right now, we got almost 50 people on LinkedIn currently watching this. Hit the like button, please. Appreciate you out there. We're going to have some fun. So this is a new year, new show. Okay. You heard new year, new you. New year, new show. We're going to try some different things. Stacy, super producer Stacy, you ready for me back there, Stacy? Yeah. We're going to try a couple of new segments. Robert.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna have fun. No, we're gonna do overrated, underrated. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna play a little game here. Okay. We used to do the top 5. We're gonna shake it up a little. We're gonna go overrated, underrated. Okay. So you're on the hot seat. You got to take a stance here. Overrated, underrated. I'm gonna throw a few different topics at you, kind of topical stuff here, and you're gonna tell me if it's overrated or underrated. Okay.
All righty.
And it's super simple. And everybody at home, you can play along too. Throw it in the comments. I want to know what you think as well. Let's get into it. You ready?
Yes.
All right. What's the first one, Stacy? HR experience in mobility. Ooh. Overrated or underrated?
I think it's underrated.
Why?
I think because a lot of times mobility relocation is seen as transactional, when it really should be strategic. And to be strategic, you have to truly understand, the deep connections of talent management, talent acquisition, strategic HR planning, workforce development. What does that really mean? And what does diversity and inclusion mean in mobility as well? These are all hot topics, but we don't really ever dive in deeply. And it wasn't until I had the fortunate experience of moving a lot of C-suite employees that I finally was able to get to the table and help with those expansions overseas or new operations in the US or massive group moves around the country. I was at the table, not after the fact to say, here, move them. It was help us figure out who to pick, how to move them, how to change policy. And I was at one company where I partnered very closely with talent management to help identify high potential employees that might one day go on assignment.
Right.
And then what does it take to prepare them? What type of assessment should we do? What type of training should we do before they're ever even offered the assignment? And I was able to see how that differed in just picking you because you speak Italian, or that person because they used to live in London, or they're from China, put them there. That doesn't always work.
Yeah, I love it. And Brian Deegan agrees with you, underrated. Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. I also think that the relationships that you were drawing on as well when you're kind of at the table, it's like, how do you get in the table? Oftentimes you're invited into the room, right? And being kind of having those cross-functional relationships with other people in the organization, within the HR organization especially, helps. So very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. People shout out Lizzie Beats in the house here. What's up, Liz Martin? Fantastic here. We got people getting excited. People are shouting out the Wisconsin Employee Relocation Council doing their outdoor winter fest event. I need more information, Matt. DM me. Let's see here. All right. Let's do another one, Robert. That was good. You're getting warmed up here. That was a good answer. Good answer. New technology and mobility, overrated or underrated?
Oh, I can't answer. Okay, so before I answer, I welcome it. I love it. I love playing with it. I've touched so many systems over the years, but I think it's a little bit overrated. We talk about all these new and great things, but it's been around since the 90s. In fact, I used some amazing technology from 97 to about 2001 that was amazing. It was a flexible system. It helped create cost estimates. It was a one-touch thing for anybody, and it worked really well. I think today it's out there more. People are really talking about it and using it and sharing. And but I think it's been around, and you have to really know where to go and which systems to pick, what technology. And I'm never going to say I don't like it. It's great, and I'm glad there's more out there. As we go to our apps more, that is the future. But yeah, I think
you know what though. I think you're right though. I think you're right because we love it. We love technology in our day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're anti-technology, but it might be a little overhyped because at the end of the day, you're still moving people. There's still people behind the technology, and I think what I think is underrated is processes, is the innovation in processes, not necessarily the software that you're building. It's the processes that you create that unlock the value. And I think that's where the focus needs to be. So I knew this one was going to be a little tough though, because I know you're a technology fan. So I mean, I'm not going to misquote you on this, but I agree. I'm a technology fan too, but I do agree it's a little overrated at this point. This is great. This is fantastic here. Steph saying logical and intuitive technology for the win, regardless of the age. Yeah, sure. Totally. All right, let's do another one. This is fun. You having fun with this?
Yes.
It's fun. This is fun. We're going to start up a little bit. All right. Employee choice. Big trend. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Overrated. Okay. Why?
So I wholeheartedly believe in flexibility and mobility. However, I think that employees, management, hiring managers, recruiters need to have the mobility folks consult heavily, give them the right information, and maybe then they can make a choice. But often the choice we see today is cash versus, a package, or, lump sum versus a standard package, whatever, and I think there needs to be a lot more consultation, a lot more hand-holding, and then help them with that choice. Because if you've never moved before, or if you've had a great or even a bad experience before, or if you think you know what you're doing, often they don't. And I've had managers say, well, Ben doesn't need this because, he's a world traveler, and yet Ben needs everything.
No, that's a great point. I mean, like you said, somebody lived in China once, and you're sending them back to China. It's like, well, they don't need cultural training. They don't need language training. They don't need, DSP services. Like, no, they still do,
Yeah.
Fantastic. This one's an interesting one. And Jack Craven saying it's about serving the customer, responding promptly to their actual needs, and having empathy.
Yes.
Interesting. I think this employee choice one is interesting too, because employee choice is driving a lot of decisions, and it's driving a lot of the technology, craze that we're seeing out there, right? But there's so much experience that gets lost when you just give somebody carte blanche to do whatever they want, or you just give them a check, or you just say, all right, go shop for, come back with a couple of bids, and I'll pick one, pick the lowest price. And there's so many pitfalls that they can fall into that then become the responsibility of the company. So I think we're doing ourselves a disservice as mobility professionals.
Yeah, I think if you give them the right infrastructure, the right technology, the right partners to pick from, and a little bit of that help along the way with some good technology, then it's okay to give them that choice. But to just let them go and provide the cash, that's not always the best way. And you'd be surprised, a lot of new hires, employees, they think they want to have the ultimate choice. When they get that help, that consultation, they're very appreciative. It helps just bridge that gap from, the traditional models we're used to.
Yeah, agreed. Karen saying very true. Design relocation assistance based on the employee's needs and budget. All right, let's see. We got another one, Stacy. Conferences, overrated or underrated? This has been the question for the last year as conferences went back online in person and people had to make decisions that they hadn't made for a year and a half. Am I going to plunk down the cash and make the trip? Conferences, overrated or underrated?
They are underrated. I think they are so important. This past year, I was able to go to most of the ones I mentioned earlier, including ERC, the conference in Chicago. I also went to the SHRM conference in Nashville and the National SHRM conference in Las Vegas. And each one was phenomenal. I met more people in the industry, found some clients, learned a lot, met some new players. And I think I would even be here today if it wasn't from going to some of those venues. And just the collaboration now, Ben, is different. Everyone cares so much more. And I find myself and everybody spending more time with having coffee together, or having a meal together, hanging out at an event together, staying up late and then getting up early. And that's not always a good combination, right? But at ERC this past year, or in October, a lot of people were out late on Thursday and also got up early Friday morning to do the foundation walk. And that was really encouraging. Not a whole lot of sleep in there, but it was a good cause and a lot of good, collaboration. And I found that people that I met on Tuesday, I had a conversation through the week and ended up, meeting them again Friday morning and then saying bye Friday afternoon. It just felt very, very, collaborative and consistent, and relationships that were a little more meaningful and long lasting.
Yeah, that ERC conference, and that's, I think, where we spent a little more time together. The ERC conference in Chicago was fantastic. Shout out to everybody that went to that, and that was just fantastic. We got a ton of people here who are all in with you, and I agree 100%. They're definitely underrated. We need in-person contact relationships, Emily Johnson says. Yes. Elizabeth Soley, love in-person conferences. Yes. Mark, agree with Robert. No substitution for face-to-face interaction.
Right.
Thomas Law, who actually saw face-to-face last week at NTRP, is more important than ever. Mm-hmm. Janet Olkowski, underrated. This is a relationship business, and the continued learning is critical.
Yeah.
Shannon Barnes, cannot agree more. Conference where it's at. Does anybody disagree? Does anybody think they're overrated? I feel like we've been aligned on all four of these issues. And I kind of don't like it. I kind of want to disagree a little bit, but you're just spot on, man. You're dialed in. Shout out to Elizabeth. Great Global party at ERC. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and everybody that came out. That was fun. We had almost 250 people at the Redhead Piano Bar. That was a blast. That was so fun. Lynn Shotwell and the ERC crew even stopped by. So that's what's up. Rob Zeit says, if you're struggling to find value from conferences, it might be useful to evaluate what you're putting into them.
Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Awesome. Stacy, are we done with overrated, underrated? We are. Okay. You have passed with an A+ grade, Robert Brizuela. We've got also one other segment here where actually we're going to let guests ask me a question. So you've got 56 minutes of airtime, Robert.
Okay.
Now you get the opportunity to ask me a question. Stacey, do we have a question that Robert's already prepared? Oh, he does. You're so prepared, Robert.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Robert. You want to ask me this question?
All righty. So Ben, would you hire someone with excellent experience or someone with impressive character?
I'm a big character person. I'm a big upside character, values, culture person. I think when you hire people with excellent experience, you're often, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but you're oftentimes paying for stuff they've done in the past, and you're not paying for stuff they're going to do in the future as much. Now, I know we were just making the argument as well for, curated relocation and taking all the experience that but and now it's not to say you can't have someone that's high character, or impressive character, I think is the question, and excellent experience. I mean, obviously that's the goal, right? But I just I'm a big culture and mindset. I'm a big mindset person. Especially because as my company is small and we're growing, we're actually about to add our third team member next month. We need a group of individuals that can kind of believe in things that they haven't seen before, because we're building something that hasn't really been done before. And so for me, the mindset, which I guess falls in the character camp, is really most important for me.
Good answer. I like that.
What are your thoughts there? Do you disagree, or do you agree, or what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. In fact, two of the best hires I ever did, one came from a recent college grad, no experience. The other one came from someone who had a lot of work experience, but no mobility experience either. And they both were phenomenal. They thought so differently than I ever would, and which is great. That's that whole diversity thing. We accomplished so much in a very short amount of time just because they were fresh. They were, talented in so many ways. And, in my opinion, we could all teach and learn relocation and mobility. But the other things you can't learn. Yeah,
100%. And Thomas Law says the same thing. You teach experience. Sure hard to change character. For sure. You can't teach character. Yeah, for sure. And, the downside of bad character is also unlimited, right? I mean, if you have someone that's it can get real ugly real quick, so, and frankly, people with great experience are top performers, who are toxic. can really destroy an organization, right?
Right.
So, I've seen that as well. So people tend to be in line with us as well. Vinny, shout out to Vinny. Character is more important. What's up, buddy? Christina's all in on the character and culture as well. Sweet. We're aligned. Okay, very cool. Robert, this has been a lot of fun. I want to give you an opportunity to have a final thought, though, as well. Do you have anything you want to share with people or leave with people?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Ben. I think your venue you have here is amazing. Not just do we learn from each other, but all the folks that tune in and challenge you and push and ask questions. It's really helpful. And it's helped me also meet a lot of people I've never would have met before, especially with the pandemic.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. And it's been so great having you chime in. I love to see your little avatar, and now it's nice to see the whole thing here live and in living color. So thank you, Robert, for being a part of the show today and sharing your story and your perspective.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Ben.
Awesome. And everybody, tune in because we've got a full slate this week. We are back in action. And I can't wait to kind of show you what we've got in store. The shows are going to be published and coming up on LinkedIn, so you can kind of see everything. And if you're not on the newsletter that gets sent out with all of the shows, please hit me up and I will add you to the mailing list. Take care, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.